Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. We are from group AS1203J. Would like to present to you about our study, which is cardiovascular. But before we begin, let me introduce to you my group members. The content of our topic is the first one, Introduction to Cardiovascular. Second, Cardiovascular health according to hormonal influence. Third, risk factors according lifestyle factors. Fourth, disease according genetic predisposition. And the last one is variation in cardiovascular outcomes between male and female.
Introduction. The cardiovascular system, also known as the circulatory system, is a vital organ system responsible for transporting blood, nutrients, oxygen, hormones, and waste products throughout the body. It consists of the heart, blood vessels, arteries, veins, and capillaries, and blood. This system plays a critical role in the maintaining homeostasis by ensuring the proper functioning of all body tissues and organs. The heart, a muscular organ roughly the size of a list, functions as a central pump. It is divided into 4 chambers, 2 atria upper chambers and 2 ventricles lower chambers. The right side of the heart pumps deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation, while the left side circulates oxygen-rich blood to the rest of the body. This dual pump mechanism is crucial for efficient oxygen delivery and metabolic waste removal. Blood vessels are the conduits of the system, with arteries carrying oxygen-rich blood away from the heart, veins returning deoxygenated blood to the heart, and capillaries facilitating the exchange of oxygen, nutrients, and waste products at the cellular level. These vessels adapt to the body demands, ensuring adequate blood flow during activities like exercise or rest. The cardiovascular system is regulated by neural and chemical signals that maintain blood pressure, cardiac output, and vascular resistance. The autonomic nervous system adjusts heart rate and vessel tone in response to internal and external stimuli. Additionally, molecules such as nitric oxide and endothelin regulate vascular relaxation and contraction. The cardiovascular system efficiency is critical for sustaining life, as disruptions in the functioning it lead to various conditions, including hypertension, atherosclerosis, and heart failure.
Next, we have cardiovascular health according to hormonal influence. Cardiovascular health refers to the proper functioning of the heart and blood vessels. Hormonal influences play a significant role in regulating cardiovascular function. Here's a breakdown of key hormonal influences of cardiovascular health. The first one, we have estrogen. Estrogen has a protective effect on the cardiovascular system, particularly in premenopause women. It promotes vasodilation, widening of blood vessels by increasing the production of nitric oxide, which reduces blood pressure and improve blood flow. Estrogen is like a neutral shade for your heart, especially for women before menopause. After menopause, when estrogen level drop, this protective effect fades and women become more vulnerable to heart issues. Next, we have cortisol, which is stress hormone. Chronic elevation of cortisol due to the prolonged stress can lead to high blood pressure, hypertension, increased heart rate, and higher levels of blood sugar. Cortisol is your body's response to stress, but too much of it over time can take a toll on your heart. When you constantly stress, high cortisol level can raise your blood pressure, speed up your heart rate, and even increase your blood sugar. If this stress lasts long enough, it can wear out your cardiovascular system, raising the risk of heart disease or a stroke. And the last one we have insulin. Insulin regulates glucose metabolism, but chronic insulin resistance, as seen in type 2 diabetes, can harm cardiovascular health. Insulin resistance leads to inflammation, endothelial dysfunction, and atherosclerosis, increasing the risk of heart disease and stroke.
I will explain to you about risk factors according to lifestyle in cardiovascular. There are 4 factors, which is unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, smoking and alcohol consumption, and lastly, chronic disease and poor mental health. For number 1 is unhealthy diet, which is due to high intake of saturated fats, trans fat, and cholesterol. And there is excessive salt consumption, low consumption of fruits, vegetables, whole grain, and lean protein. And lastly, overeating leading to obesity or being overweight. Number 2 is physical inactivity, such as inactive lifestyle or lack of regular exercise, prolonged sitting or minimal movement during the day, and lack of cardiovascular focused exercise, such as walking, running, or swimming. Next is smoking and alcohol consumption, which is caused by smoking tobacco or being exposed to second-hand smoke, and excessive alcohol consumption more than recommended daily limits. And lastly, chronic stress and poor mental health, such as prolonged stress leading to high blood pressure and unhealthy coping mechanism, anxiety and depression contributing to poor lifestyle choices, and lack of adequate sleep or sleep disorder like amnesia.
Next, for disease according genetic predispositions. First, family history as a risk indicator. Significance of family history. A strong family history of heart disease, such as having a parent or sibling diagnosed with coronary artery disease (CAD) at an early age, before 55 in men and 65 in women, is a critical predictor of genetic predisposition to cardiovascular issues. Underlying causes. The risk can arise from the shared genetic factors, such as mutations linked to lipid metabolism, or shared lifestyle factors like a diet and smoking habit. Next, single gene disorders. Familial hypercholesterolemia (FH), caused by mutation in LDLR, low density lipoprotein receptor, APOB, apolipoprotein B, or PCSK9 genes, leads to impaired removal of LDL, bad cholesterol, from the blood, causing early onset atherosclerosis and higher risk of heart attack. Next, polygenic risk and gene-environment interactions. Polygenic risk score (PRS). Unlike single gene disorders, many cardiovascular conditions such as coronary artery disease (CAD) result from the cumulative effect of numerous genetic variants. Each variant may contribute only a small amount of risk, but together they can significantly increase susceptibility. Gene-environment interactions. Certain genes interact with lifestyle factors to modify risk. For instance, variant is the ApoE gene influence how individuals process dietary cholesterol, making some people more prone to high cholesterol on a high-fat diet. Smoking or inactivity may exacerbate the risk of CVD in genetically predisposed individuals. Next, epigenetics in cardiovascular disease. Epigenetic refers to a change in gene activity that don't involve alteration in the DNA sequence. These genes are influenced by both genetic predisposition and external factors like diet, stress, or pollutants. DNA methylation can regulate genes involved in inflammation or cholesterol metabolism. For example, hypermethylation of anti-inflammatory genes can contribute to atherosclerosis. The last point is emerging insight from genomics. Genome-wide association studies (GWAS) have identified thousands of genetic losses associated with cardiovascular disease. For example, The 9p31 locus is linked to CAD and myocardial infarction risk. Variants near the SORT1 gene affect cholesterol level. This finding highlight potential biological pathway for new treatment. Potential for precision medicine. Advance in genomics allow for the identification of high-risk individual through genetic testing. This enables early intervention such as lifestyle modification or targeted therapies.
So the factors contribute in variation in cardiovascular outcomes between male and female. The first one is hormonal influence. For male, testosterone. Higher testosterone level are linked to increased risk of hypertension and adverse lipid profile. Testosterone also supports vascular repair and may have protective effect in certain contexts. For female, the first one is estrogen. It improves vascular function by enhancing nitric oxide production, reducing inflammation, and maintaining favorable lipid profiles. After menopause, the decline in estrogen levels increases cardiovascular risk, narrowing the gender gap in outcomes. It leads to increased risk of atherosclerosis, hypertension, and dyslipidemia. The second one is menstrual cycle and pregnancy. Hormonal fluctuation during the menstrual cycle and pregnancy can temporarily alter cardiovascular dynamics, sometimes revealing latent conditions such as peripartum cardiomyopathy or pregnancy-induced hypertension.
Factors contribute in variation in cardiovascular outcomes between male and females. Genetic predispositions. For male, sex chromosome, which is X and Y, the lack of a second X chromosomes makes men more vulnerable to the full expression of harmful mutations on the X chromosomes. The Y chromosome carries genes like SRY that may influence the risk of hypertension and other cardiovascular outcomes by promoting higher sympathetic nervous system activity. Epigenetic regulation. Testosterone in men may influence pro-inflammatory gene expression, increasing CVD risk. For female, sex chromosome, which is X and X, 2X chromosome provide a genetic backup which can help mitigate the effects of certain gene mutations linked to cardiovascular disease, CVD. X-linked genes may contribute to the differences in cholesterol handling and atherosclerosis risk. Epigenetic regulation. Estrogen in women regulates genes involved in inflammation and vascular repair, reducing early CVD risk.
So, the third factor is lifestyle factors. For male, obesity and weight management, men are more prone to central visceral obesity, which is closely linked to metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. And then secondly, alcohol consumption. Men tend to consume more alcohol than women, that lead to higher risk of hypertension, cardiomyopathy, and arrhythmias.
For female, obesity and weight management, women tend to experience peripheral obesity. Postmenopausal women with central obesity have increased cardiovascular risk due to hormonal changes. Alcohol consumption, women are more sensitive to the cardiovascular effects of alcohol due to differences in body composition and metabolism. It will increase their risk of heart disease even with moderate alcohol consumption.